What triggered today's blog was actually what I watched a movie, and yes, I watched a movie. I don't watch a lot of movies, but I watched a film that was about trekking in the mountains, about two climbers that summited a mountain, and I like watching these movies because it reminds me of my own trekking, which I did earlier in my life. I did mountain climbing and as well spent some time. I did summit a peak, but it wasn't Everest, but it was opposite Everest. We went about 5,600, 5,550 meters above sea level. For me, that was my own death zone. I was thinking about how much this mountain and what changes in your mind and your psyche, spiritually, everything that changes trying to summit this mountain actually um, can also relate to destructive relationships. Um, for instance, when you track, if you're gonna climb a really high mountain and you're with some good trackers, I mean, it can be a good thing to climb up a mountain, but we are now, using it as a relation to a destructive situation. Please climb a mountain when you when you get the chance. Go for it. Take me with you. Yes. So first of all, there's a pre-preparation. I mean, you have to be seriously fit. You have to be a game because the biggest problem on that mountain, there's two things: is air. Gonna have to have air, and the air is thin. So everything in your body works with air, with oxygen, and obviously then systems start failing or acting out. And another thing that you're going to need up there is water. So those two things you're going to need. But first you need to train your body to survive with as little air as possible. So let's just look at that, typical people maybe that gets stuck into these situations, into destructive marriages. They are sometimes more of your stronger people, people that can survive with a little less air, that can take maybe a little more, that maybe a little bit more forgiving and saying, oh, that's okay. Learn to think more positively. Have you might be in the situation, you think, I'm so negative, I'm this, I'm that, because of all the labels that's been given to you. But sometimes, because you have such a strong belief in yourself, um, that you can overcome and that you can endure things, you will overcome and endure um, certain things happening to you early stages of relationship. Okay, so that's just something to think of. So you might not be as weak as you thought. It might be just because you are strong, you know, and because you were sort of trained and ready and willing to take this big adventure, knowing that you're gonna, climb a mountain. And um, yeah, so that's one thing to think of. And then the next thing that's gonna happen, obviously, is your physical preparation. You're gonna need a lot of stuff to take with you, and there's sleeping bags and heavy, specific things that's specially needed for that relationship, or for climbing a mountain. You can't just take any sleeping bag. It has to be super light and super warm. You can't just take any food. It has to be like food that's very light. And then all these things that you need to take are specialized things for the journey. You don't take your couch, for instance. You just, and you have this little bag that you need to be able to carry, and it has to be comfortable, things like that. So there might be some very unique things in you uh, that made you think that, yeah, you can do this. Okay, and that's for your uniquity, that you might have been chosen for this journey. Okay, so okay, let's think a little bit further. So next thing that's going to happen on that mountain, or a lot of things that's going to happen there, is to prepare to actually go higher on the mountain. Is you don't just peak, the first day. You actually start maybe at 3,000 meters, or 2,000 meters. And then you slowly start tracking up. And every day, the place you stop your track, you will summit, like not summit, sorry, not summit. You will go up to the level you're going to be the next day, to that altitude, and then you'll come down again. So you have to climb a mountain every time. And then the next day, you'll climb to the next space, the next spot. And then before you go to bed that night, you'll actually climb up a piece of sort of mountain side or something, and then, to that level of altitude, and then come down. So you have to get used to living and breathing, and your body has to get slowly used to having less oxygen, working differently with this little bits of oxygen that you're going to have. So I'm just relating that again to maybe a destructive relationship where, things aren't just destructive from the start. What usually happens is you get slowly but surely accommodated. You get used to. Sorry, English is not my first language. It might sound like it, but it's not. You get used to certain things being normal, and you get taken up to limits of yourself, and you think this is now the limit, this is the end. If this ever happens again, I'm out of here, this cannot happen, this is not the way you speak to people, this is not the way you treat people. But then you come down from there and it feels like, oh, it's okay, I can live with this now, it's better now. But then you start walking, and before you know it, you're at that same point again. But because you've been, sort of made used to that type of thing, when you look at that again, it seems like you can negotiate with it. Maybe this is not as unacceptable as I thought. He's telling me these things, he's going to change, this, and suddenly that becomes normality, the new normal. Then you go up again to the next level of altitude that affects your body, that affects your brain, that affects your life. But then you come, and it's, okay, sorry, no, that was a bit too far. We shouldn't really do that, blah, blah, blah. I love you, blah, blah, blah. Let's go down again. And that's how it happens. Then next day, a few days, what do you know? You're right there. But because you've experienced it previously, in a way you've accepted it because you didn't exit. And usually things, it doesn't just go bah, 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 bah all the time. It goes like this because the abuser, in a way, wants you to stay. They feel guilt. I don't know if they think about you, but at least they sometimes they feel guilt. I don't know what's going on in their heads, but they need your body at least to be there. So you can see what's happening. This cycle, and then your mind gets used to something, and again you go up where that thing was unacceptable a month ago. It's becoming the new normal. So you're taking these little steps. And that's the thing with verbal emotional abuse. It always gets worse. If that person doesn't make a U-turn in themselves, it will get worse because it just becomes easier. Because what is the idea of the whole thing is power. Okay, it's never something else. It's not, oh, I want to find you or accept you or see you. It's, I need to have power over you. And so so now this thing is happening to you. You're being drawn in, you're going deeper commitment wise, and every time you accept something, you might be thinking you're forgiving that thing, because this person is asking why you're not forgiving, why you should be a good Christian, you should be this or that. You get what I'm saying? You're going deeper and deeper, and you're accepting more and more of the normal abuse. But understand, as you go up that mountain, the higher you go, the more unlivable it becomes. And that is a truth. I've seen men cry. Yes, they cried, they froze their cheeks. I've seen men cry up there. I've seen people that were quite sane at a certain level become quite insane at another level, because we are not made to live with that little oxygen. Okay. So there's that accustomed thing that you become accustomed to the abuse, the new normal. When I exited my relationship, it took me about 6 months and a lot of conversation with a lot of people to understand how much of this abnormality I started accepting as normal, or just a little bit weird, or I had descriptions for things that as I'm moving back down that mountain, I can now see, as I'm breathing better air and I'm living more at an accustomed sort of place where I should be living, I can now see that levels of abnormality that I was living in every day, I was basically just surviving. And that's where I'm getting at now. You go slowly up that mountain, you walk slowly up that mountain. And at a certain stage, you'll start losing it. You start hallucinating. You can't sleep very well. Everything is freezing. You have to change normal things, like you can't wash your hair because then your head will freeze. So no washing. You can't basically not clean yourself because basic hygiene. And just think of, if I relate that to abusive situations, even these things start hitting these women. You'll see them, their hair's not washed. They don't have even time to bath because that person is taking up all their time. They're taking up anything that's fitting to them, or anything that actually supports you as a person. They'll actually invade small things like having a shower. It sounds funny. And then also food would be a problem. They won't nourish you very well. They won't like, oh, I bought this for you. I know that this will make you feel better. Have a eat. They don't even really care. I don't think about that. So okay, so as that's just physically anyway. But so what I'm trying to say is, it becomes abnormal life. But yes, you can still breathe. I mean, if you lay down there, you're probably not just gonna die, but it becomes abnormal. Abnormal. You can't wash your hair. And the other thing is, you have to walk really, really slowly, and you can only walk at your own pace. But I'll come back to walking at your own pace, maybe at a more of a positive thing. Um, yeah. So there's all these things that you need to do to survive up there, to be able to peak or summit a peak, um, and you sleep in severe cold circumstances. Um, Yeah, and a lot of people say and do things that they won't necessarily do because it's an abnormal. Um, yeah, it's an abnormal place to be at. Um, and you might find yourself not even recognizing yourself anymore. This is, you've now been taken to the edge of you, um, where you might have been the most calm person that you've known. You might have been a person that could listen very well to other people, could really take them in and consider them. Um, you are now fighting for your life. Your irritation levels are very high, or you being, suppressing things extremely. Um, and also, yeah, I'll come to something else about that mountain. Um, so I think what I wanted to say is that yes, it is tough up in that mountain, and it's abnormal, and it is not a normal space for a relationship to function. Um, okay, so if you're even gonna maybe understand where you are, I know that maybe because you came to this channel, you are searching, you are wondering, trying to get perspective on where you are. If it's any way possible for you to move down a little bit, to get down from where you are in terms of the abnormalities that you've grown accustomed to. Usually it's very impossible. I know, women, they eventually walk into the street with their children. They don't really know where else to go. Um, but believe me that if you decide to exit, you can exit, and that normality will slowly, as you venture down that mountain, you'll slowly start recognizing yourself again. You'll slowly start recognizing your environment, start thinking clearly again, um, getting back your mind, getting back your body, your emotions. And that's what also happens on that mountain. Because you're hallucinating, things change because of the little aid that you actually, basic life is being withheld from you. So your mind, gets invaded with these, sort of funny concepts or whatever the abuser is throwing at your emotions are not functioning very well. So these are all things that you can look forward to, coming back at you if you decide to exit. And it's tough being on the mountain, and you might not think that there's a road down, but once, um, that's the other thing that I want to say. Once you start going down that mountain, it becomes easier, quicker and quicker and quicker. Um, what I mean is, we'll take, uh, maybe 20 days getting up, but it only takes 11 days coming down, because you get more air as you go down. You don't have to go up every day. You can actually do twice as much work, so in a day. Um, so expect more energy, like almost like a rolling ball of snow. When the snow rolls down and it becomes bigger and bigger and just goes faster and faster. So at the beginning it might feel like you're like trying to move a stone. But once you decide to exit, it will start flowing and you'll start getting more energy coming down that mountain. Um, yeah, and then I just wanted to talk about the concept of moving up your own pace. Now, this is not maybe related to um, your specific situation or an abusive situation, but when you're gonna climb a mountain, maybe the mountain of getting out, or whatever mountain. Now, this is just a general metaphorical mountain. There's one rule that also apply, that you need to walk at your own pace, whatever that may be. If you walk quicker than your own pace, you will get tired, um, and you won't be able to continue. If you walk slower than your own pace, then you will also get tired. So you cannot slow down to walk with someone else, and you cannot speed up to walk with whoever you want to walk with. And I think that's one of the things that I had to learn physically on the mountain, and that caused me to walk great distances by myself, because I just couldn't walk faster and I couldn't walk slower, and I couldn't expect anybody else um, to walk with me. Just exit plan, take whatever you need. If you're going to exit, remember you're going to be walking, maybe carrying children. You have to take whatever it is that you need from day to day, and you're gonna maybe you've built a house. Now we're back at the mountain as being a destructive relationship. You've maybe built your house on there, your dreams, everything, but you'll find that that space, that abusive space, is not a space of permanent living. That's why people, they summit and then they come down. They try and get back to the air as soon as possible. But what if you stay just before death zone? That's where you've put up camp, that's your house. And you start thinking this is normal. This is normal not to be able to breathe, not to bath, not to wash your hair, to feel like, you've got headaches, you can't function very well. But you're continuing, you're just drinking the best of yourself and you're continuing. You cannot live there. No one lives there. Okay. Not even, I don't know, the yaks in Nepal, they don't live there. It's not a space for living. So you're gonna have to come down just to live. So that's just something to think about. Um, you're walking at your own pace. So I just want to sort of give you the green card to say, just do it your way, walk at your own pace. If you decide to exit, just do it at your own pace, and trust your instincts, trust your body, trust things that's happening to you. read the signs, read what's happening around you, and just keep on taking the next step, even if it's just small steps. And if you're tired, sit down, try whatever. A very important thing, if you're going to be exiting a relationship, is to be kind to yourself every day. Do something that's going to lift you up. Another thing that happens on the mountain is the higher you get, the less you connect. That is just the truth, because you have so little energy and you can talk to people that have tracked. You have to literally choose between talking and walking. You can't talk to someone because you're talking like this. That's what you have. So you can, if you want to talk to someone, you have to stop tracking and talk to them, but that means, you're not continuing, so you're out in the cold more. Or you can walk. And you find that as you get more accustomed to the abuse, as the abuse, the levels goes higher and higher and higher, that your basic sense of connection, that nerve of connection with other people, are damaged. And it takes away love from your life, just connecting with people, experiencing love, and having that joy of having relationships and trusting relationships with people are being taken away from you. That is also something that we just need to live. Yeah, that's another thing that I think correlates with mountains. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and that it helped you to think a little more about your situation. Please comment. Let's talk. Let's have an open conversation. Thank you so much. God bless you. Bye. So that's just a little bit of an analog in terms of climbing mountains and abusive relationships. Please comment at the bottom, and I hope to see you again soon. And I pray for you, and I hope that you will get answers to your situation soon, and that you will find your way to a better life and to a more peaceful, livable environment. Thank you so much. Goodbye.